one of the most notorious biker gangs worldwide, the Hells Angels. Founded in 1948, is known for their history of violence, drug trafficking, and organized crime. This outlaw motorcycle club has had its share of run-ins with the law. But what happens when a member receives a life sentence? How do they cope with the harsh reality of spending the rest of their days behind bars? Join us as we explore the stories of Hells Angels members and their reactions upon facing a life sentence. Adam Lee Hall, a notorious Hells Angels member, killed 3 people to stop one of them from testifying against him in a robbery and kidnapping case. He and his 2 accomplices abducted the victims from their homes, shot them, and buried them in a ditch. He was convicted of murder, kidnapping, witness intimidation, and other charges and sentenced to 3 life terms without parole. The judge said the case showed a level of depravity beyond his experience. Hall was emotionless, while the victims' families cried and embraced. Now, let's turn our attention to Neil Cantrell, a leader of the Kelowna Hells Angels, who killed Dane Phillips, a father of 3, with baseball bats and hammers over a drug debt dispute. He and his son and another Hells Angel ambushed Phillips when he tried to meet them peacefully. Neil was convicted of manslaughter and got 15 years in prison. His son and the other attacker got 12 years each. The judge said Neil was the leader and instigator of the attack. The victim's family was happy with the punishment. Our next story features Emery Martin, a Hells Angel member who was deeply involved in drug trafficking. Despite his veteran status in the club, Martin faced a significant sentence for his role in an interprovincial narcotics ring that spanned from British Columbia to Quebec. Martin was one of the key players in the operation, which involved smuggling large quantities of cocaine and methamphetamine across Canada. He used his connections and influence with the Hells Angels to facilitate the distribution of the drugs. Martin pleaded guilty to conspiracy to traffic drugs and received a 10-year sentence. The judge emphasized the power and responsibility that Martin wielded in the drug trade, as well as the harm that he caused to society. Zane Peoria Wallace, a Hells Angels prospect from Alberta, brutally assaulted and killed Jasmine Tamara Wilson in 2019. This tragic incident revealed the extent of violence that she had endured at his hands. Wallace had been dating Wilson for about a year, during which he subjected her to physical and emotional abuse. He often beat her, choked her, and threatened to kill her. On the night of her death, he attacked her in his apartment, causing severe injuries to her head, neck, and chest. Wallace was found guilty of second-degree murder and received a life sentence with no chance of parole for 12 years. Wilson's family and friends shared their grief and anger in court, emphasizing the senselessness and brutality of the crime. Dean Kelsey, a Hells Angel member from Ontario, was involved in the fatal assault on Charlie Simmons at a Toronto nightclub in 2018. This incident was ordered by another Hells Angel member, who suspected Simmons of having an affair with his wife. Kelsey and 2 other men followed Simmons to the nightclub, where they confronted him and punched him repeatedly. Simmons fell to the ground and hit his head on the pavement, causing a fatal brain injury. Kelsey was initially charged with first-degree murder, but pleaded guilty to a lesser charge of second-degree murder. He received a life sentence with no chance of parole for 10 years. However, his history of violence and assaults in prison raised concerns about his rehabilitation. The next story is about Stephen Sanders, a former Hells Angels local chapter president who was involved in a violent plot. He pleaded guilty to solicitation and kidnapping, admitting that he hired 2 men to abduct and torture a former club member who had testified against him in a previous trial. In a dramatic turn of events, Sanders tried to withdraw his guilty plea at the last minute, claiming that he was coerced by his lawyer and the prosecutor. However, the judge rejected his request and sentenced him to 25 years to life in prison. The judge praised the work of law enforcement in bringing Sanders to justice, saying that his crimes were heinous and barbaric. From one ruthless leader to another, we now move on to the case of Christian Rufino, a Hells Angel member with a long history of criminal activity. Christian Rufino was arrested in 2022 after a routine traffic stop revealed that he was carrying a loaded firearm as a felon. His rap sheet included convictions for assault, robbery, drug trafficking, and attempted murder. Despite his lawyer's argument that he was a changed man who had found religion, the jury found him guilty of violating firearm laws. The judge sentenced him to 15 years in prison, stating that he was a danger to society, who had shown no remorse for his actions. These stories reveal the dark and violent side of the Hells Angels, one of the most notorious outlaw motorcycle clubs in the world. They also show how the justice system has dealt with these criminals, imposing harsh sentences that reflect the gravity of their offenses.